Hey, check it out, everybody. It's Phil from New York Rocks, and we're rocking down here at Gibson, NYC. We're here for Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, and we're here with no other than rock and roll drummer extraordinaire, super great guy, Sandy Gennaro, rocking here, man. What a pleasure it is meeting you. And
thank you very much, man.
And tell everybody, I know you have some roots in Staten Island, but is that where you're originally from? Go ahead.
I'm originally from the Lower East Side of Manhattan,
Right.
but when I was about 10 years old, my family moved to Staten Island, and that's where I was able to play the drums because I had my finished basement, whatever like that. So since I'm about 10, and then when I was about 25, I moved to LA for 3 years. Now I'm back in Manhattan and getting ready to move to Nashville, Tennessee, coming up soon.
Oh, there rocks there too.
Absolutely.
Okay, now you have a long history of drumming. And is that the first instrument you started playing? Was drumming?
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
Okay, and now how old were you back then when you started?
When I started playing, I was about 14.
14. Who inspired you to get into the drumming?
I would say probably Ringo Starr.
Ringo Starr,
Yeah,
right?
seeing the
You
Beatles.
watched the Beatles on
Ed Sullivan
show?
yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people got inspired by the Beatles.
Absolutely.
All right, now talk about some of the bands that you were in. When you first started out, who did you first start out with? You know, what was the first band?
Well, the Beatles, and I was in a cover band. I never did any of that marching band, high school marching band stuff, but. And I didn't know how to read music at the very beginning, but I just taught myself how to play the drums to certain songs that my band was doing, and that's how I developed my repertoire and my vocabulary on the drums, is learning from other great drummers like John Bonham and Keith Moon and Ringo Starr and Carmine Appice from Long Island and all of that. So then, one thing led to another, but it was a great background playing in cover bands and learning all these songs, and that's why doing a situation like the fantasy camp, it helps because when you do a jam session like I just came from, people could start any song with any classic rock tune, and I basically know just about everyone. I mean, it's like, because I played in those bands the original time when those songs came out, when they weren't classic, when they were new songs.
From hearing other people's music.
That's right.
And that's how they get them. Gets them going,
That's right. Okay. And then it becomes, everything becomes like my playing become a sum of, Carmine and all those different drummers. You mix them all together in a pot, and you have me. Yeah. So, and that's the way everybody is. You draw from each other, and then it becomes something totally different than, it's like the sum is more than the sum of its parts, or whatever the saying is.
Yeah. But you're over here instructing. How do you feel about instructing over here and being an instructor? Well, I know you've been a teacher too,
I've been a teacher at the Drummers Collective in New York City for 25 years or something. So the camp for me, it combines the two things I like doing best. It's performing music, so you get to perform with other great players, some other great counselors. And then you get to teach the campers if they need help with a certain beats or a certain song or whatever.
So this guy really knows how to teach. I was watching you instruct the drummer, and you were like, man, you really know what you're doing. You know how to instruct it the right way.
It just comes with knowing how to do it yourself. And then there's a certain thing about teaching that is a certain personality you kind of need. It's got to be like, you got to be like gentle a little, but be firm enough where they get the message. But you don't want to intimidate them, and you don't want to make them feel pressured. Oh, he's watching me. So it's a fine line between,
well, you got the good personality. You're very personable. You're a personable person. And then you've been in so many groups. Talk about some of the groups that you played with before you became where you are now. Go ahead.
I played in as I said, a lot of local bands that nobody's ever heard of, and playing cover material. And then I moved to LA to try to get the original band thing together. And I ended up getting into a band called Blackjack with Michael Bolton and Bruce Kulick and Jimmy Haslip. And then that led to word of mouth and everything that led to Benny Mardones, and I played on a hit single on his record, and then that led to Cyndi Lauper, and then that led to the Pat Travers band, of course, and that was with him in the early 80s, and then I came back with him now 30 years later. So that's a story in itself.
Are you on some of the recordings of any of those albums? Which ones?
Radioactive album and the Black Pearl album. And then after that, I went with Cyndi Lauper, and then I did several Monkees tours, and then it was Joan Jett and the Black Horse, and then Johnny Winter, who's going to be here tomorrow, and so that's basically one thing led to another kind of thing, and it's the way.
Yeah, well, you're that good of a drummer that people know your work, and they go like, "Well, Sandy, we're gonna put Sandy in the band, and Sandy rocks."
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Oh, cool, man. All right, so what are you gonna do now? Tomorrow, you're gonna go and you're gonna jam out. You're gonna do some stuff.
Tomorrow
Right?
is some. I think Johnny Winter's coming by, and Peter Chris will be here tomorrow, and so yeah, they'll walk around and do the comments and everything, and we get to continue to rehearse because we have a performance tomorrow night at the Cutting Room, and then Sunday night at the BB King's. Not tomorrow night at the Cutting Room, Saturday night at the Cutting Room. So
talk about some of the campers.
That's awesome, man. It's awesome. They have all, some of them need some instruction, some of them need to be kind of pushed in a certain way, but they all have a really good attitude. Which is important because a guy cannot. I mean, he can be terrible, but then he can have the attitude like, "Don't tell me what to do," whatever. But if they're open to learning,
open-minded.
You have to be very open-minded and know that you can be. And you're here to learn. Right. You're here to be a rock star for a day. So like, if you're not willing to learn or you're not willing to accept direction, then what's your point? Right.
You're not gonna grow.
Right.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure speaking with you,
thank you
and
very much.
I'm gonna hear more from you. I'm gonna be
You
here
will.
for a couple of
You're not
days.
gonna be able to help
You're
me.
great. You rock, man. Tell everybody though to check out your material. Go ahead.
All right. Well, you always log on to my website, Sandy SANDY Gennaro GENN as in Nancy ARO.com, and there's a lot of stuff you can contact me through my website, and I'll be sure to answer. And
thank you.
Yeah, well. Good luck to you, and
thank you very
I
much.
appreciate
New
the
York
New York
rocks.
rocks, baby.
Who
New
rocks
York.
better than us?
Nobody rocks like
Nobody.
New
We
York
rock.
rock.
Yeah, forget it.
Forget about it.
You get a fresh one.